You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
How is it Tuesday already? It just seemed like it was just like Friday, and we were getting all this news about Star Wars, and then just this flood of news, and then all this stuff going on, and now it's Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday afternoon, actually. I'm really bad at time. It's gotta do another show. So here we go. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is April 11th and things are rolling quickly. Just so much has happened, and I wanted to start with news about Jeremy Renner. And it's not really news, it's just, man, did you guys get a chance to watch the interview he did with Diane Sawyer? If you haven't, it's amazing. They go into great detail of the actual injuries he got. They play the 911 recording. You hear him as people are trying to get help. They interview the people that stayed with him during the whole thing. We see images of him in the hospital, how bad a shape he was in, the list of broken bones and injuries. His eye came out of its socket, a punctured lung, just lacerated, I mean, it's not for the squeamish. But at the same time, you watch this and you see him today, and it's astounding to think about what he went through. And as he describes it, there's no trying to make it heroic. There's no trying to make it, anything other than he thinks he screwed up. He was in his snowplow, couldn't see where his nephew's truck was. He leaned out to get a better look. His foot caught on one of the tracks. He fell off, and then when he realized the whole thing was still moving towards his nephew, he tried to jump back into the cat, and in doing so hit the treads again, got thrown in front, and then ran over. Now, the fact that his motivations were protecting his nephew, that's great. I mean, that's heroic, but he didn't try to make it sound like he was better or anything. He actually made it sound like he was not beating himself up for it, but totally, I screwed up. The first communication he had with his family before he could even speak was he signed to them that he was sorry. That he was sorry for what happened. And I don't know if he knew sign language before the Hawkeye series or if it was just one of the things he picked up while playing that role, because, he does sign stuff. Either way, though, that's just, and you see him now. I mean, they did the interview, but then like a couple days ago, he actually went to Six Flags. He was going around in a motor car, but he went to Six Flags Magic Mountain. He was on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and he walked out with nothing but a cane. just his energy level, his attitude is so amazing for what he just went through 3 months ago. You know, I pull a muscle in my back, and 3 months later, I'm still going, ooh, yeah. You know, I just can't even fathom what that guy has gone through. And just his positive attitude is amazing. So, again, just to see this guy on the show last night and doing these interviews and stuff, 3 months from being run over by a 14,000-pound machine, just amazing to me. And I mean, if you thought, well, you know, oh, he's never going to come back as Hawkeye, he's never going to act again, I wouldn't doubt him. I wouldn't doubt him doing anything at this point. So, had some sad news yesterday. Um, Al Jaffe, the Mad Magazine's award-winning cartoonist, creator of the fold-in. Remember the back page where you folded it and you got a different image. He also did the snappy answers to stupid questions. He passed away at the age of 102, and if you're 102 years old when you pass, I feel like you should be applauded. You know, that's not where he died too young. Good on you. Good on you for kicking ass and for doing all the stuff that just. And he retired at age of 99, so he was drawing still up till 3 years ago. Hey Ed, hey Triple B, hey Canonus. If you guys don't know, the first ever fold-in was he was spoofing the big celebrity news story of the time, and this was the fact that Elizabeth Taylor had left Eddie Fisher for Richard Burton, for the person she was co-starring in Cleopatra with. And this was 1964, and he drew this image that had Taylor on one side and Burton on the other, or Taylor and Burton in an embrace, and on the other side there was like a young guy being held back by cops. And then when you folded it together, it was Taylor kissing the young guy, and just showing that, well, Burton may be around now, but who's next? Which is true. And it was supposed to be kind of a one-off thing. It wasn't going to happen again, this fold-in thing. But it went over so well, and the editor was like, we need another. The next one he did was actually an image of Nelson Rockefeller on one side and Barry Goldwater on the other, who were the two GOP presidential contenders in 1964. But when you folded them together, they actually made a picture of Richard Nixon. That is pretty amazing. And Jaffe won a bunch of awards. He was in 2013, he was inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame. And he had a lot of people that were really fans of his work, like Charles Schultz, who wrote a preface. He wrote the preface to Al Jaffe's collection of fold-ins. But Stephen Colbert was a huge fan, and actually for Jaffe's 85th birthday, he had a fold-in cake design, and on the Colbert Report. Jon Stewart was a huge fan, and when Jon Stewart did his book America the Book, he got Jaffe to contribute a fold-in to that. So, yeah, that was a big. His passing is hitting a lot of people, but he was a highly respected artist, and condolences to his family and his friends and fans. So, all right, let's get some of the other news going on. Production has begun on House of the Dragon season 2. This HBO said filming started by they announced it by sending out an image of the Iron Throne sitting in the Great Hall of the Red Keep. And in it was a quote from Ryan Condal, the co-creator and the showrunner. He says, House of Dragons has returned. We are thrilled to be shooting again with members of our original family as well as new talents on both sides of the camera. All your favorite characters will soon be conspiring at the council tables, marching with their armies and riding their dragons into battle. Now, cast for season 2, of course, includes Matt Smith, Olivia Cook, Emma D'Arcy, Eve Best, Steve Toussaint, Fabian Frankel, Ewan Mitchell, Tom Glencarney, Sonia Mizone, and Risa Fons. But the interesting thing to learn that the second season is planned to be 2 episodes shorter than the first season. So there won't be as many. Also, we aren't really sure how many Disney Plus series we'll be getting this year in 2023. Early on, it was believed that they were going to keep rolling 3, 4, something big like that, because we've been getting quite a few, but all the talk lately has been scaling back, not putting out as many, taking more time with them. A lot of the, putting out so many had to do with the backlog created by the pandemic. Well, now, so it got to the point where we're thinking, okay, we're going to get 2. We're going to get Secret Invasion, which is going to be starting on June 21st. And since it's already June, I mean, that starts dropping the number anticipated anyway. But then Loki season 2 is supposed to be around August, and people were kind of expecting that might be the only 2 we get. Well, now there's a rumor that there may be a third live action, and it would possibly be kicking off in November, which makes a lot of sense because the series they're talking about is Echo, which sees Alaqua Cox returning as Maya Lopez, who we first met in the Hawkeye series. Now, with the character's ties to Wilson Fisk and the idea that Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox will both be appearing in the Echo series, it seems like it would be really important for Marvel to put that out before Daredevil Born Again, which is believed to start in the spring of 2024. So that means the November, maybe early December release for Echo makes a lot of sense. Now, again, it's not confirmed, but that's what a lot of people are talking about. Interesting. We got 2 big character anniversaries this month, and both of them have new comic series starting because of it. Red Sonja is coming up to a 50th anniversary. And to mark that, Dynamite is going to kick off a new series, but they're bringing in comic writer Torunn Grønbekk, who is known for writing stuff like Thor and Valkyrie, to write this new series. They're bringing back Walter Giovanni, who has probably done the most Red Sonja books for Dynamite. He started all the way back in 2007. He did the whole Gail Simone run. So it's really great to see him coming back. And they talked about some of the covers they're getting. Now, so far, they've announced Shannon Mayer is going to be doing covers. Jim Chung has done one, and Mike Mignola. So that's big. Now this is going to kick off till June, and I think that's when her official 50th anniversary is. But in honor of that, tonight's key collectibles will be Red Sonja books. We'll be doing that later in the show. Also an anniversary, but that's actually this month, is 007, James Bond, 70 years ago. And there's a new James Bond series kicking off today or tomorrow in stores. And we're going to be talking about that on In Stores this week, coming up right after this. Well, you want to stick around and hear what Jay and Kyle and I have to say about the new series from Philip Kennedy Johnson and Giorgio Spalletta. So, all right, what else we got today? Well, something else happened today. What was it? Oh, yeah. They dropped a teaser trailer for the Marvels. Now, of course, this is, I want to say it's the sequel to Captain Marvel, but after seeing the trailer, it kind of feels like it's the sequel to Captain Marvel and the sequel to the Miss Marvel series. Plus, we're going to find out what's going on with Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, who also started in the original Captain Marvel. So there's a lot of different elements are pulling into this. Plus, we have Nick Fury in it as well. So we get Brie Larson as Carol Danvers. We get Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan. We get Tiona Paris as Monica Rambeau. And of course, we get Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. And it looks like we get the Flerken back. More Goose, which that was my big thing. If we were going to do another Captain Marvel movie, we needed more Flerken. And if you watch the trailer, you see that there may be a litter of new Flerken as well. It could have just been a litter of cats, but I like to think that they were Flerken. It does seem to pick up from the end credit scene from Miss Marvel. If you've seen Miss Marvel, you know that the end credits has her swapping places with Carol Danvers, and we find Carol Danvers standing in Kamala's New Jersey bedroom at her family's house. If you haven't watched the series, A, I enjoyed the hell out of it, much more than I expected, and B, a lot of those characters are going to be in the movie, so you're probably going to want to watch it. We see her entire family at one point when they start figuring out who's swapping with who and whatnot. I really enjoyed the trailer. I'm a little surprised how much I did because this hasn't really been a movie high on my radar. I liked the Captain Marvel movie well enough. I just rewatched it last week. We did a whole show on it. So, I'm interested in all that's fresh in my mind. Hey, Cole, good to see you. But yeah, I was really surprised how much I liked the look of the trailer. Now, this is a different writing and directing crew than the first movie. I know some people didn't like the first movie. They thought it was boring. They just did certain parts of it they didn't like. So it might be worth giving it another shot if you didn't like it. If you did, carrying forward with those concepts. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in that trailer. We kind of see what causes some kind of reaction to a portal, causes this swapping thing, but it seems to affect all three of them. And when they use their powers, which is going to be really interesting, because if they keep swapping around to different places, that then it looks like we get a fight scene where it looks like they actually figure out how to use that as part of their fighting, which again could look fantastic, or it could just look like a mess. I don't know, but the trailer made it look really good. I am now really looking forward to this. I guess, see, I look at a trailer like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I hesitate a little bit because we know that it's an ending. We know that there's a good chance not all of the Guardians are going to come out alive. And I guess I'm a little burnt on that. I kind of want fun movies. I want to go to and just enjoy the movie. I don't want to get emotionally wrecked. And I get that there's reasons to go see movies and get emotionally wrecked. But right now I'm kind of in the mindset for happy, fun movies. And this looks like a fun movie. We get to see the villain. Oh, God, the name's going to slip my mind. They actually finally tell us It's a gender bent version too. It's Darbine, something like that. She's carrying the accuser hammer. So she's got Ronin's hammer. So this is going to be interesting. It's definitely Kree related, Kree scroll related. So my only question is, where does this fit in the timeline? Is this going to take place after Secret Invasion or before Secret Invasion? You know, because this was originally supposed to be out. Well, it's supposed to be out November 10th of 2022 originally. Then it got bumped to February, and then it got moved to November. So just because it's coming out after Secret Invasion doesn't mean it takes place after. So we'll have to see how that works out. I'll probably get more detail into the trailer tomorrow, along with I did a rewatch of Iron Man. So if it's a late news day, I'll dive deeper into the trailer, get some more information on it for you guys. But we're going to talk about all the news coming out of Star Wars. That's why I didn't cover the Star Wars stuff, because that's going to be the bulk of today's show, because there's a lot of it. So stick around. We'll be right back talking Star Wars.
Gator.com to find a store near you.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We got a great lineup today on the show, on the Experience. We've got in stores this week coming up right after this, then Minute to Skim It and Mint Hunter. So we got a full lineup tonight. If you're curious about Country Road Collectible or Country Road Comics, which used to be on Tuesdays, it has moved to Sundays. It just had its first Sunday night show on Sunday, and we'll be there from now on going forward. So are you bummed that you don't have something else to watch on Tuesday? Well, you should be happy. You got something to watch on Sundays now. Think about it that way. So, all right, let's get into the literal ton of Star Wars news that came out of Celebration. I expected a couple bits of news. I thought, okay, we'll probably get a trailer for one or two things. And maybe they'll announce a movie, because every indication I've been hearing is that they were going to stay away from the movies for a little while. There was indications that maybe Kathleen Kennedy was going to leave once Indiana Jones movie came out, and that would be her final swan song. Didn't get that impression at all from Celebration. Instead, they seemed to double, triple, and quadruple down on things, and announced a ton of stuff. So we're going to go through it, but I wanted to start with something we're going to see tonight or tomorrow, depending on your time zone. We're getting the penultimate episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian tonight. And I know a lot of people were unhappy with episode 6. There was complaints about the use of Jack Black and Lizzo. There was complaints about it being kind of this side adventure. And I don't see it that way. I didn't have a problem with the castings. I thought Jack Black was probably a little too Jack Black. He could have toned it down a little bit. I didn't have a problem with Lizzo because I had no idea who Lizzo was. And that's not an insult to her because I knew her name. I've heard of her, but I don't think I've ever watched a Lizzo video or you know. So it didn't click that was Lizzo, you know. And Christopher Lloyd was awesome. So I don't have any problem with those cameos. I am a fan of noir. So to have this noir episode pop up in the middle of it, I was all for. But also, I think that this episode, this last episode, was important to complete the bonding between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, and to bring Bo full circle to where she's ready to lead again. So I thought the episode was actually important in that sense. Sometimes you do episodes for character development, not always for plot development. So this was, to me, that was definitely a character development episode. Now, at Celebration, they showed the 7th episode. So there are people out there who have seen it. And while there aren't a lot of spoilers online for it, I guess if you're a big enough fan of Star Wars that you go to Celebration in London, then you're probably a big enough fan that you're not going to run out and tell everybody all the secrets. So good for them. What we are hearing, though, is that it's a huge episode in basically information. There's just a ton of stuff coming in. We're going to find out a lot of stuff. It's going to be the last 2 episodes are going to be big and important. So if you stepped away because you thought this season was boring or something, come back. Now let's get into some of the other news. Ahsoka is probably the big thing. They released a trailer for Ahsoka that looked pretty damn good. And in it, we got to see some interesting characters. We got to see Hera Syndulla from Rebels, as played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. We also got Sabine Wren, who we knew was coming, and we got Chopper. So that's 3 of the Rebels there. We saw Zeb already on Mandalorian last week, or the week before, so that's 4. And in still photos they released from Ahsoka, we see a little hologram version of Ezra Bridger. So that's 5 of the living members of Rebels. The only one missing is the one who passed, which is Kanan Jarrus. So Ahsoka is definitely the spiritual sequel to Rebels. Now, if you haven't had a chance to see Rebels, I think you'll be okay. I think there's enough explanation of what's going on that you don't have to go back and watch all 3 seasons. I think it was 3 seasons. Not saying you shouldn't. It's a decent show. It's actually pretty good. A lot of good stuff in it. So if you've got the time, and that would be between now and August. So, because that's when the Ahsoka series is going to kick off in August of 2023. So yeah, you could definitely go back or you could go and watch all the Rebels episodes and get that backstory filled in. And I don't think you need to go all the way back to the Clone Wars to pick up on Ahsoka, but you get a lot of Ahsoka in the Rebels as well. So would definitely be, I think I will probably do that myself because I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen all of them. So we'll go back and watch that. I think I watched all of season 1 years ago. Do I have that here? Yeah, back when I was working at Bleeding Cool, they sent me the complete first season. So I watched it to review it and liked it quite a bit. So yeah. And it's on Disney Plus. So if you, Ed says, maybe you could do a catch-up show before then for those of us who haven't. Absolutely. Like I said, I'll probably rewatch it and do a catch-up, probably season by season. So I'll probably end up doing 3 of them because I don't want to just try to condense it all down into one 30-minute segment. Or maybe I do. I'll have to see. That's a good idea, Ed. All right, so Ahsoka's coming. We get to see Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll, who is a former Jedi who is described as being corrupted by the dark side. Now, it doesn't call him a Sith or anything like that. And we really, and every indication is from the people involved that it's not a matter of him being evil. It's a very gray area. And there's a assistant that goes around with him. And I'm wondering if we're going to get the Grey Knights, that middle of the on the Force, the guys who are between the dark and the light. I think that would be very interesting. He has a very regal feel to him. And when they asked Ray Stevenson who is an inspiration for his character, he talks about the Knights of the Round Table and the word knights a lot. So I'm thinking he may be a Grey Knight. We'll have to see, a Grey Force user or whatever the term is, but I believe it's Grey Knight. Later on, I'll have to check my Secrets of the Jedi to see all that stuff. Maybe I'll find them in here. Ray Stevenson is a very cool actor. He plays Volstagg in the Thor movies. He played Punisher in Warzone. He was on the incredible series Rome from HBO, where he played Titus Polo. Just a great actor, and I love seeing him in the series. But the big news of the whole thing is that not only did we get to see a hint of Grand Admiral Thrawn, we now know who's playing him. And they're bringing back the voice actor from the series, Lars Mikkelsen. Now, Lars is the brother of Mads Mikkelsen, who, of course, is from Rogue One. He was in Doctor Strange. He was Hannibal. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen has been in a ton of things. He was Lashif in Casino Royale. So the brothers are now both in the Star Wars universe. And I could just picture them having that conversation of Lars going, well, I'm the heir to the Empire now. I am one of the smartest people in the galaxy. And Mads can just go, and I built the Death Star. Scoreboard! So, yeah, I think that was a pretty neat announcement. I know a lot of people are excited about that. We got to see a teaser for Andor Season 2. They're moving forward on that, and they expect to be finished shooting by the end of summer. and it will debut in August of 2024. So exactly a year after Ahsoka, we will get Andor season 2. I found it interesting. I mean, the clips all had. It's going to be a different format. Instead of 1 year of story, it's going to be cover like 4 years. It's going to be that the final 4 years between where Andor started and where Rogue One happens, and it's going to be broken into 3 episode arcs. So each 3 will be a year, or will cover a year. I don't know if each one will be. They'll probably just be like, here's 3 days in this year, and then the next year, and then the next year. But uh, they're hinting at a relationship finally between Andor and Bix. But what I thought was interesting of the actors they brought to Celebration for Andor, Andy Serkis was there. And his character, well, we don't know dies, but it sure seemed like he's going to, or something bad's going to happen to him because he can't swim. So I'm kind of curious if we're going to get more Kino Loy in season 2, because I think he would be awesome. I definitely would love to see him come back. So, all right, what other news we got? Now we got a lot of like little bits and hints of information. They showed some scenes from the Skeleton Crew. We see that Jude Law has shaved his head and is playing a Jedi Master with a crew full of children. One of the children is supposed to be that of the race that Max Rebo is, the blue elephant-looking guy that plays the keyboard with his feet. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, I don't know if these kids are just kids, if they're Padawans or what, but also they're going to be dealing with pirates, and Vane from Mandalorian, was it season 2, where he goes to, no, it was episode 1. It was episode 1 of season 3, where we first meet Gordian Shard and his guy Vane. And well, that character Vane, who escaped the fight with the Mandalorians, he's going to be in the Skeleton Crew. So introducing the pirates in the Mandalorian was a setup for Skeleton Crew. And it's in the same time frame as is Ahsoka. So, and of course, one of the big announcements, and I'll jump ahead on this, one of the movies they announced is a Dave Filoni movie, directed movie, that will be kind of the culmination of that era. So Ahsoka and Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew are all leading to this movie, this big finale, which will probably be all about them taking on Thrawn. Now, I wouldn't expect that to be like really soon. We're probably going to get 2 seasons of Ahsoka. We'll probably get a second season of Skeleton Crew and maybe a 4th season of Mandalorian before we get to that movie. Or maybe another Book of Boba Fett, who knows. But all of that will come together in a Dave Filoni directed movie. James Mangold is going to be doing a movie set in the very early days of the Jedi. He's going to write and direct. And of course, this is a guy that did Logan. He's doing the new Indiana Jones movie. I think this is phenomenal. He's also going to at least write, maybe direct a Swamp Thing movie for DC. So I'm really excited about that. We got some information on the Acolyte, which will include Carrie-Anne Moss as a Jedi Master. The gentleman who currently plays Chewbacca in the Star Wars universe, I can't pronounce his name, but he's going to be taking on a new role, another Wookiee. There'll be a Wookiee Jedi in the Acolyte series. And one of the familiar faces from the High Republic line of books and stuff will be appearing in the Acolyte as well. So they showed some footage of that. And again, that got a real good reaction. But the only one that we actually see online, the only footage that they fully released, was the Ahsoka trailer. There's going to be a new movie starring Daisy Ridley back as Rey that will pick up about 15 years after Rise of Skywalker, as she starts to rebuild the Jedi Order. Now, will she not make the mistakes Luke made? Now she's got all of the books and stuff, the history of the Jedi and stuff, but will she move it forward, or will she try to do it exactly the same? That'll be interesting to find out. Plus, there's no word if any of the other characters from the sequel series will appear. It would make sense for Finn to show up, with the fact that he started showing that he might have some Force sensitivity. But the problem with that is that John Boyega has pretty much come out and said that he is done with the Star Wars universe. So we'll have to see if that gets turned around, or if we just go forth with a whole new set of characters. And then, of course, there was some animation news. If you are a fan of The Bad Batch, there will be a third season. It will be the final season. We had a cliffhanger ending, so it was pretty obvious going to be a third season. But the fact that it will be the final season should be pretty interesting. They've done a good job at kind of establishing the Imperial or the Empire's version of cloning, taking it over from the Kaminoans. So all of it is helping to set up, and then also what they're doing in The Mandalorian to help kind of guide towards the sequel series where Palpatine returned and they never explained it. Well, this is them explaining it. There's going to be another season of Tales of the Jedi. Now, Filoni didn't say much about it other than that it was coming. But the interesting thing to me is, will it continue with stories of Ahsoka and Count Dooku? Probably not. Dooku is pretty much dead at this point, and we've kind of covered the important parts of him. My thought is that they're going to go with two different Jedi, probably one, rising up and one leaving the Order. Maybe they'll do some backstory for the new Baylan Skoll character. Maybe Kelleran Beck explain the whole thing with him being the one that saves Grogu, or maybe they'll go and do a bunch of different Jedi, just individual stories of different Jedis, instead of just focusing on two. But that'll be come out in a year or two. Also, we're getting a second season of Star Wars Visions, and we've seen a trailer for that. There's a trailer released for that as well, so that'll be coming sooner than later. Actually, I believe that's going to be on May 4th. Yeah, they'll release that on May 4th, and they've shown in the trailer that again they're basically went to a bunch of different animation houses and gave them the opportunity to create their own version of a Star Wars story. They're not considered canon. They're just fun. And obviously they're not considered canon when one of them is by the group that does the Wallace and Gromit cartoons. So Star Wars done in the style of Wallace and Gromit, which frightens me, and I love the idea at the same time. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you. All right. We're going to go ahead and take our second break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some key Red Sonja issues to look for as she's coming up to her 50th anniversary. So we'll be right back.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales. Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
Go follow the experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit that thumbs up button, the like button, whatever it is on whichever service you're using. That always helps me out. And please spread the word, get some more people in here. Let's get this conversation bigger and bigger. Ed, I love that idea that if they could get a 50th anniversary cover from, a photo image from Schwarzenegger and Nielsen, or an homage cover, that would be pretty cool too. The neat thing about the Red Sonja book coming out is it feels like a straightforward Red Sonja book. It's not a multiverse book. It's not a crossover. It's just a straightforward Red Sonja story. It's a sword and sorcery story, which is what I remember saying to Jay not that long ago in the other in stores this week, that's what I've been missing. I want just a pure Red Sonja story. So I am really looking forward to this. I love the Mike Mignola cover that they have in the announcement. And I know they announced a couple other cover artists. Let's see if I can find that. Let's see, that's past the... other cover artists for the 50th anniversary will include Jenny Frazen, who does amazing cover work, Brian Hitch, and Alan Qua. All of them just great. I'm looking at some of the covers on that. We'll have to get those up to show you soon. Or if you take a look out there, Dynamite's doing a big push on this right now. So, but yeah, that was announced today, so you can probably find in the news things. But let's talk the already covers. Jay, if you would. This is the first appearance of Red Sonja. This was Conan the Barbarian, number 23 from 1973. It's a high end on this is 345, median's about 90, low end's about 30. And Red Sonja is an interesting character because she does and doesn't exist in the Robert E. Howard line. There is a character named Red Sonja, spelled differently. I believe in the books it's Sonya, and here it's Sonja. So yeah, it's the opposite. She's in one story. The Howard version's in one story, and doesn't really fit the description that they did. This Red Sonja was more created by Roy Thomas for this series, and they just ran with it from there. Next we have, now this was the following issue, and this is the first time Red Sonja appeared on a cover. And this is Conan the Barbarian, number 24. Its high end is 160, median price about 55, and low end's about 15. And the thing you'll note here is her outfit. Chainmail shirt, full coverage, shorts, Yeah, this is how she looked in the beginning. Metal Bikini didn't come until The Savage Sword of Conan #1 in 1974. This was a year later, and this is where the metal or the chainmail bikini showed up. So it wasn't part of her initial appearance. It showed up here, and the fact that this was in a magazine, I think they felt they could do a little more adult stuff in the magazine, so they could do something like the chainmail bikini and show more of her skin. High end here is about $200 if you can find one, 70 in the middle, looking about $20 low end, even if for a reader copy. After that, we got Cole and the Barbarians, #3 from 1975. And this is, they were doing stories about Cole, they were doing stories about Solomon Kane and Red Sonja. And this is where we see the first origin story for Red Sonja. Now, this is a pretty reasonable book to pick up. There's only a $20 on the high end, $7 in the middle. You could probably find these for a couple bucks for a reader copy. Canonist says, this coverage helps me quite a lot right now, so I know which comics to buy for my colleague. He really loves Conan and Sonja. Well, good, Canonist. I'm glad I could help out with that. From there, we go to, now this was the first time Red Sonja had the headliner. This was Marvel Features #1, featuring or presents, Marvel Feature presents. It should have Marvel Feature, I don't know. But it's Red Sonja, the she-devil with the sword. Now, high end on this is about $35. I believe, I'm not sure, that almost looks like a Gil Kane cover, at least in the layout. Medium range is about $9, low end's about $3. This is from 1975. If you can find one, it's a good pickup. So after that, we have, this is Marvel. Now this is the better one to pick up because it's dirt cheap. This is Marvel Feature Presents #2 from Red Sonja. And the reason this one is key, this was the first time Frank Thorne worked on Red Sonja. Frank Thorne became synonymous with the character for a long time. So you could pick one of these up in great condition for $5. You know, you can probably even find one in a dollar bin somewhere if you look hard enough. So this is one, I think if you could pick up the two of them together, that is a great addition to a collection for Red Sonja. All right, after that, we have, now this is interesting. Marvel was publishing Red Sonja, but she was always set back in the Hyperion age. This was the first time she actually appeared in the modern day. They teamed her up with Spider-Man, but the way they explained it is she's actually Mary Jane Watson. So, and it's some kind of magic thing from Tulsa Doom that makes this happen. But so they brought Red Sonja in to team up with Spider-Man. This one, $25 for the high end, median's about $8, low end's about $2. But again, this is Marvel Team Up #79 from 1979. Again, this is the first time Red Sonja appeared with mixing in with the regular Marvel characters. All right. Now, this gets interesting here because we've really only, not unlike Conan, who has jumped around to different publishers, Sonja has mainly either been with Marvel or Dynamite, except for a small amount of time in 1999 where they did a run, Red Sonja's Death in Scarlet. This is the first issue, #1 here, by Roy Thomas, Steve Lytle, and this came from a company called Crossplane Comics. So this is a rare in-between publishing for Red Sonja. This goes for the high end of about $30, median's about $9, low end's about $3. Now, I'm not sure how long the series ran, but I know they didn't do many of them. But pretty interesting take on Red Sonja, pretty interesting variation on her costume. So it's a good one to pick up as well. After that, we jump over to her first appearance in Dynamite. This was Red Sonja number 0 from 2005. And this was a 25-cent comic. This is now there's a lot of them out there. This is why this one isn't that expensive, because at a 25-cent cover price, publishers bought a ton of them. High end on this is only going to be about $3. So, and if you could probably find it in just about every store's dollar bin for one of these. Now, after that, I picked this one because Lucio Perillo has really found his niche, not only working for Dynamite on their Girls of Dynamite type covers, but specifically on Red Sonja. He has done some amazing covers. This was his first cover. I believe it was his first cover for Dynamite, but it was definitely his first cover for Red Sonja. This was on Red Sonja Revenge of the Gods number 2. And this one you can pick, this was from 2011. So he's been drawing these covers for a decade now. You can pick this up for about $20 on the high end, $8 median, and about $2 low end. So Lucio Perillo's got a lot of great covers out there, though. And then finally, I think we've got one more. This is a recent one. This is Sonja Versal number 1. This is where all of those multiverse Sonjas were introduced. Blue Sonja, just down the line, all these different Hell Sonja. And this one you can pick up really cheap, $4 on the high end, buck, $2 or $2. You should be able to get a copy at most of your comic shops. So, all right, that I believe is all of our Red Sonja books, and that's our show. So come back tomorrow. We'll expand a bit on the Miss Marvel trailer. We'll cover whatever other news comes in, and we'll talk about Iron Man and maybe do some key Iron Man issues, because I rewatched Iron Man the other night and I got questions. So have a great night, or thank you, Ed. Ed says he's really digging the new show format. I appreciate that. All right, guys. So stick around. I'll be back in just a couple minutes with Jay and Kyle talking about the new books in stores this week.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.